KGW News at 11.
All right, let's get right to some breaking news. Reports of two shootings. First in Northeast Portland, where police are investigating reports of shots fired in the Hazelwood neighborhood. It's along Burnside, Northeast 127th. That's an area that's been hit by gunfire multiple times in the last few months. No word on any injuries here or arrests at this point. Now, we're also following reports of a second shooting in Gresham. This is on Northeast Kelly Avenue near Division. Working to get details from Gresham police there as we speak at the moment. Updates as we get them, of course, during this newscast and available anytime at kgw.com. Well, to our other top story tonight, what some may call a September surprise in a key Portland race. It is a significant fine totaling tens of thousands of dollars issued against city council candidate Renee Gonzalez. Gonzalez right now trying to unseat Commissioner Joanne Hardesty. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm David Mulco. Elections officials say this has to do with the Gonzalez campaign accepting and not reporting a substantial discount on campaign office space downtown. In all, a $77,000 penalty. Investigative reporter Evan Watson explains.
Well, the Portland Elections Program says Renee Gonzalez's campaign has paid just $250 a month since May for downtown office space. That office space has a fair market value of $6,900 a month. So the program's director here in Portland says that represents a 96% discount that wouldn't be available to the public. The office space is owned and rented by Schnitzer Properties. Real estate developer Jordan Schnitzer has supported Gonzalez's campaign. Schnitzer donated $250 to the Gonzalez campaign, the maximum amount allowed for an individual's donation, on May 2nd. That's according to campaign finance data. That came just one day after the lease for this office space started. Susan Matei, director of Portland's Small Donor Elections Program, says the huge discount on rent represents an illegal contribution violating campaign finance laws.
When you violate the prohibition on large contributions and accept a contribution, of $33,000, that goes against the point of the program to ensure our democracy is strong and healthy and accountable to the people.
In response to the penalty, Renee Gonzalez's campaign shared this statement. They said, "We evaluated accountability and elections rules when we entered into the lease and strongly disagree that the rent is too low, given the dismal state of downtown. Landlords are desperate to get any kind of compensation for their space because of the city's failures to address crime and homelessness that have made downtown inhospitable to tenants, landlords, and visitors." The Gonzalez campaign did pay utilities on top of the monthly rent, according to statements they provided to investigators. The campaign has until October 4th to appeal the close to $77,000 in penalties.
That's Evan Watson there. So what might this mean for the race, especially the Gonzalez campaign, as we're about 7 weeks out here? We asked KGW political analyst Len Bergstein to put it into perspective.
So it's bad news for Gonzalez, who tries to make the campaign, he wants the campaign to be a referendum on Joanne Hardesty and her term in office. He wants to make the voters say, you're not happy with the incumbent, and so vote her out of office and vote me. This fine and the issues around them give Joanne a chance to say, see, this is really a referendum on the challenger, and the challenger has got a problem.
Well, Len adds the timing of the fine doesn't really do Gonzalez any favors. For context, this is only the second time the city's Small Donor Elections Program has actually issued a fine. The first one was for $5 compared to the $77,000 in this case. Let's talk about Portland's homeless crisis and neighbors taking what appears to be a new tactic to clear a camp that just keeps coming back. We're talking about the one on the edges of Laurelhurst Park. Now, this evening, a lawyer representing neighbors is arguing the city must clear out the tents because it is not safe for campers. As Mike Benner explains, it all has to do with the trees.
Mike Carulli has lived across the street from Laurelhurst Park for most of his life. He'll be the first to tell you it's not as pleasant as it once was. And he says the homeless camp is to blame.
Personally, it's just disgusting because I feel that the majority of the people are not homeless. They're young, workable people that don't want to work.
It's a sentiment echoed by other neighbors who have since turned to attorney John DiLorenzo for help. Late last month, DiLorenzo sent a letter to the city urging them to clear the camp along Southeast Oak between Cesar Chavez and 37th. In addition to the camp posing a public health concern and blocking park access, DiLorenzo claims the trees are in bad shape. That, according to an arborist. In fact, the trees are in such bad shape that it's believed branches and limbs could fall and hurt, if not kill, campers.
If it works, that's great.
That's one way to look at it. But one of the Laurelhurst Park campers, who wanted to remain anonymous, said this about the latest tactic to clear the camp.
I think that it is clearly not something that they concocted out of compassion.
This man does not think neighbors hired an attorney to approach the city out of concern for campers, but instead out of concern for themselves.
It is an us versus them tit for tat situation and honestly what they want most of the time is to stir the pot to get somebody out here to react.
Regardless, a spokesperson for Portland Parks and Rec tells KGW a city arborist did go ahead and inspect the trees. It was determined one should come down soon, while two others had problematic limbs that were removed as a precaution. We're told further inspection could come as soon as later this week, as the city does have plans to clear the camp, which can't come soon enough for neighbor Mike Carulli.
I'm appalled at this, what we've come to.
I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
And tonight, while we don't want to paint any community with a broad brush, addiction is widely understood to be one of the main challenges facing our homeless population. So on the heels of hearing that funding associated with Measure 110 has now been spread statewide, some $300 million in fact, our Blair Best did a bit of a check-in to see if there are places people can go to get immediate help. It is no secret resources are limited, but KGW found out there are only 2 large-scale walk-in detox centers in the Rose City. They are Fora Health in Southeast, Hooper Detox Center in North Portland. Now, each morning, 6 days a week, people line up outside their doors, but in what's become an all too familiar story, advocates say neither place has enough beds, and they end up turning people away.
Horrible. I just actually walked out of the rehabilitation center after waiting and just said, I just need help. And to not be able to get that, very deflating.
It is frustrating. I'm trying to help a friend get in right now, and there's no open beds anywhere.
One of the earliest moments of distress of the day is when there's a long line and there are 6 open beds.
Oregon, 50 out of 50 states in the U.S. in terms of access to treatment for those who need it. In large part, it all comes down to these treatment centers needing more physical space and more staff. They say they're almost always able to get people in if they come 2 or even 3 days in a row. After they connect patients with case managers, the goal is to never discharge people back into homelessness. But given the challenges, they say that is not always possible. By the way, you can watch Blair's full story for real and often raw perspective here. Check out her article. It's up now on KGW.com. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines and a monkeypox update, with Oregon health officials confirming the state's 2nd case in a child. They say it is not linked to a school, childcare, or other community setting. Monkeypox mainly spreads through close skin-to-skin contact. For privacy reasons, though, health officials are not specifying how the child contracted the disease. Well, new tonight, a warning from police in Lake Oswego about a phone scam where somebody pretends to be a police officer. Investigators say the person calling identifies himself as a Sergeant Tom Harper and has a Southern accent. He then warns whoever picks up the phone they've missed a court date and suggests the person pay him directly to clear up the outstanding arrest warrants. The scammer's also been leaving voicemails with a bogus number, police say. They say hang up and call them on their non-emergency line. And Milo McIver State Park in Clackamas County is partially reopened after a wildfire burned through parts of the area, destroying at least 1 home. Portions of that park are still closed. The campground's reopening Friday, the Riverbend side and the disc golf field closed until further notice. The cause of that fire still under investigation.